Hey there, YouTube world. Today I will be giving my thoughts on Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. And this book was one that caught me by surprise in both its eloquence and prophetic ability to tell the future, considering that it was written in the 1990s and is a dystopian, hyper-realized setting of 2024 to 2027, which strikes a chord that's a little too familiar to reality at this point. So praise is due when it's due, and Octavia Butler has prophetic and profound things to say in this book about capitalism, race, sex, and religion, to name a few. A book that really gets better and better as I continue to read it, as the characters, and specifically the main character, Lauren, is more exposed to the reader over the course of the book, and their little unit that is traversing, so to speak, through the arid and at times hostile, basically always hostile setting of the South in this book of the United States, starting in California. The reader is a part of this caravan and is traveling with these people. So there is something very eloquent and moving about the story itself, but also a great coming of age novel in general for some of the themes on love and relationships that are touched on, especially since the main character, Lauren, is someone who is a little alienated, possibly from people who are her age. She's very intellectual, mature, and she is a leader of sorts, being only 16 years old. She definitely has this very divine feminine strength that is attached to her character, which was good to see how it benefited her throughout the course of the book. But I want to read a little tiny passage from something that is embedded throughout the book called the Earth Seed, the Book of the Living, which is just a casual religion that Octavia Butler made up through this book that is the anchor and solace of the main character, Lauren, in this pessimistic and dire world. She has Earth Seed. She has hope. This is pretty much the core belief in this religion and the core philosophy that people abide by if they consider themselves believers in the Earth Seed or part of this community of people. And it goes as follows: all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. I was really captivated by this passage and many others like it, talking about change not only as an inevitable part of life that we have to embrace, but God quite literally manifesting through it, being the change. Very interesting. From my limited knowledge of theology and philosophy, I've never quite heard it put that way before. So I enjoyed that element to the book as well. The characters in this story are just so damn cool, for lack of a better way to describe it. You have Frederick Douglass-like characters who are symbolically representing the past injustices of slavery, but still prevailing in reading books and writing and learning how to survive. You have people who are empathetic to a degree that is science fiction. I forgot the exact term is called, but hyper empaths or something like that, hyper empathetic, where they literally feel the pain or pleasure of those around them, and the kind of commentary that says about the pros and cons about being somebody who is more thoughtful or empathetic, and at times where that isn't necessarily the best trait, even though it's a morally esteemed one. So very interesting. I love that the themes of race and moral decay weren't so in your face, but were more embedded throughout the stories of the characters themselves. Like, one character was in a history of debt, and when her husband died, she had to carry on that debt until she was eventually able to escape with her child, and how that kind of represents indentured servitude in history, or in the post-antebellum South, maybe sharecropping and issues about reconciling the past issues of slavery into a capitalist economy where people are trying to be free but economically are not. So beautifully written. I know Parable of the Talents is the next book, which is equally as high regarded as Parable of the Sower. So I will most definitely be checking that out at some point in my life. But I highly recommend it. Octavia Butler, great writer, and scarily accurate prediction of, unfortunately, where we may be headed and where we're at right now in society. So peace and love. Stay cool.